Paweł Trela, Hoegert Technik brand ambassador, a licensed rally driver and Polish drift champion. A constructor and a lecturer at university. On a daily basis he runs a company that prepares cars for motorsport, where he also participates actively in the process of designing and creating vehicles specially designed for competition. His most famous design is Maybach, the only drifting Opel GT in Europe, with which he takes part in the competition. Paweł Trela is also a consultant for Hoegert Technik brand in the field of designing and testing new products. Cooperating with the brand, he builds its credibility, and he also co-creates its image and supports communication. Hello, in today's material we will focus on the brake system. We said that the power was very important in a drift car. We said that suspension and grip were very important. Of course, the brake system is also a very important part. Why? Because the more powerful the car is, the more efficient brakes it needs. It might also seem that, let's say, we are driving on a track with relatively even speeds, so these brakes do not have to be super. Actually, we do not brake much, but still. When driving behind slower car in a battle, I have to control the car while drifting, but I cannot let it accelerate. Therefore, we also often need efficient brakes. Actually, you can see that the brakes in Opel are not too worn. Brake disc does not really have any threshold, despite the fact that it is probably its 6th or 7th year of driving. However, when it comes to brake pads, we change them more or less once per season, and not really because they wear out, but they just start to crumble due to temperature and time. The surface of this brake pad is getting smaller, so better safe than sorry, we will replace them for new ones. I will take off the brake pad and we will see how they look inside. We will also remove a caliper, and I will show you how my calipers differ from these in most civil cars. In the process, we will also show you what tools to use to put it all together. The brake pads look very good. Somewhere here they only crumbled slightly at the edge, but absolutely there is no danger. Here you can see that they are nice, there is a lot of material. A single small scratch due to some pebble which has fallen in and just scratched a brake pad. But all in all, brake disc here has not been touched at all, so it is cool. I use mid-range brake pads, let's call it Motorsports Ferodo 2500. They brake a bit better, and they provide greater heat resistance than such regular street brake pads, and they do not kill brake disc very much. They do not wear out brake disc very much, so brake disc, what you can see anyway, can certainly be used for a long time. I often have a pleasure of testing products on my car before they are launched into sales. I have such a set of brake line plugs, thanks to which, if I unscrew this line, of course, brake fluid, which is very corrosive, will leak. So we should try not to have it dripped somewhere on our bare skin or car paint, because it can burn it out. Brake fluid will leak out of this line, but I have such nice clips that I will put on. I have a very round plug here, and it does not drip anymore. We have the caliper removed, but I will get back to the issue of the brake lines because I have brake lines with metal braid in Opel. So something like that. I cannot use such cool clips that we have here on such lines. They simply work on the principle of closing the rubber lines. This is normal line from a serial car. We open and close it on the line. We secure it in order not to open, and such a line will not leak this fluid. Larger one, if you need for lines even water in radiator. We can use it. Here you know if there is a line with metal braid, we will crush it. It will hardly be usable. But here, in this set, we also have various other caps and, for example, some metal nuts, which we can also use to secure, close. I have a rubber and I close the cap. This fluid will not drip anymore. And it works. Now I will show you a few differences between this typical motorsports caliper and the caliper found in most of our serial cars. Here we mainly have 6 small pistons. It is as if there are also different quantities. I have 6, it may be 4, it may be 8 or more. It depends on the size of the caliper itself and the size of the brake disc which it will run with. But the point is that the force spreads completely different, then the brake pad is pushed evenly on its entire surface. Here you can see how other pistons are crumpled, so it will certainly work more precisely, better and more efficiently. While in the serial caliper, such a normal one, there is either one large piston or 2. Therefore, this brake pad will simply be pushed somewhere in the middle, so for sure this brake will not be as efficient as it could be. And it certainly will not work so fine. Another difference is the weight. This one is all aluminium. Usually the standard, series calipers are cast iron. As a result, this one is almost 3 times heavier than that one. Of course, in some versions there are also aluminium, in some cars a bit more designed for sport and consequently just for sport. Now the eternal problem of how to deal with the change of brake pads when we have them worn. These pistons are of course pressed out. We have to push them in somehow. These or this one right here. I have 2 such tools. One is very simple. An ordinary disc brake pad spreader that will be perfect for my caliper. I squeeze these 2 spatulas here. Of course, we assume that the calipers are working and all the elements work as they should. And now I just unscrew it. I push each piston. If, for example, we have it too narrow because I have 6 pistons and now I press only the middle ones, then obviously I can use old brake pads. Put in the old brake pads and push them together with the brake pads, then all the pistons will be pushed into the housing at once. I can put new, thicker ones, but with this kind of brake pad, the operation is a bit more complicated. I will take off this stirrup now to make it more comfortable, and I will show you the whole set which we have here for actually pressing in and for screwing in calipers or pistons in calipers. Because this set can be used for both front and rear calipers. The front pistons are only pressed. The rear ones also need to be screwed in. This is why we have such a tool, by a means of which we can screw it by pressing different diameters, different sets for different brake pads. I will take the first served because it is more than enough. The piston is quite big, so I will take this. And now I will adjust it to the piston. I will screw it into the middle screw, assuming that the piston is working. Not stop somewhere, it is not tight, so I can just push it in here. I will press it to the end, and I will check the condition of the rubbers. I will loosen, takes it out, and we can already mount new brake pads. As a curiosity, I have exactly the same set of brake discs and calipers at the rear and at the front in Opel. Once, because we also need a very efficient rear brake system in a drift car, as we block the wheels with the handbrake at speeds of 150–200 km per hour. This is one argument, and the other is that because I have 4 brake pads exactly the same, in the event of any failure, I can, for example, exchange the brake pads from the front wheel to the rear, and I still will be able to continue the competition. When it comes to drifting, the rear is more important because that is handbrake. However, without front, still I can handle somehow on one braking wheel. So such strictly motorsport solutions in order to make it easier to service the car. I checked the brake pad. There are no worrying leaks here. We can also compare in this way because of the dust protection, let's say in these two brake pads. Here we have a gasket outside, there is no gasket in mine. Simply, it has gaskets inside, which are then less exposed to the temperature. These brakes seem to be designed to operate at higher temperatures than normal ones. This is such a difference. So we clean, wash, mount in a car. Despite the fact that I have same brake pads both in the front and at the rear of the car, of course the braking force is not the same because it would be hard to drive. But I have a mechanical brake balancer in the cabin, which is set at the pedals. Of course, in every serial car, ABS is responsible for it, for the entire power distribution. But when it comes to a sports car, we can adjust it manually. These are either levers or knobs or, for example, separated by the performance of the master cylinder. We can put a different master cylinder on the rear and different on the front. However, a few people, for example, have the idea to put double calipers on the rear axle. Due to the fact that if we brake with the foot-operated brake, they do not like such feeling of pushing in the handbrake as they use it. Therefore, the handbrake is in a separate circuit from the foot-operated brake. This has its advantages. When one of the system is damaged, the other continues working properly. We only have to vent the brake system and it is all for today. I also hope that I have introduced you the construction of the entire brake system in my Opel. And see you in the next episodes.